Dang. If we sit perfectly still, when it flashes back, we won't notice. It's all right. We wanted a minute to breathe. We manifested this stuff.
There it is. There it is again.
I got the fingers.
Yeah.
The flashback of the fingers. Yeah, it's flashing back like a minute. I think it must be the delay.
There's like 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. So, well, what we see on our screen is it's physically, the video is flashing back and forth all the time. So we're going to try to just ignore it. We're going to go like that. And awesome. Hi, everybody. It's Tuesday. Or no, it's Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Whatever day it is. You guys know what I mean. Thank you for being here. We've had a little bit of a marathon today, so thank you for your patience on the live. I imagine there's a million people trying to go live at the top of the hour, so we had a little bit of a tricky deal. So anyway, do you want to start with announcements?
Sure. We had a great webinar this morning with Dave Cromes, Illustra Advisory Group. They created a new concept and a website, SRT, which is Survive, Recover, Thrive. Really, I wonder if it's because of that. Is it because it's converting that in your computer?
Shouldn't matter. Just ignore it.
So they're really focusing on how to help businesses, particularly small businesses and entrepreneurs, think about this new world that we're living in. So that was fun to visit with Dave. Shelly's going to post the link to it when we have it in all the places. Business Continuity Blueprint series is going great. We actually just got off of our Wednesday live webinar with them. And so it's just been incredible. We've had great conversations, lots of awesome questions, and great dialogue around how to help your people, how to help yourself through change and managing through and into what is going to be the next step. I haven't figured out exactly how to say not normal, or like to stop saying normal, because that's driving me crazy. But whatever that is,
we're gonna post COVID. Was that PC?
PC. We have to be PC.
BC, PC, post social distancing. PST.
Yeah, PST. Okay, so you can still sign up for that. You can still join us. Actually, you can private message us for details or send Shelly a message or whatever. But definitely you can still grab that. And when you do sign up, we give you all the information from the previous now 3 days, all the links and all the resources and tools we've shared with the group. So we'd love to have you join us for the last couple of days and watch all the other material. Our membership contest winner on Friday. Challenge everyone watching to invite 10 new members to our group. Bonus, our book will be free on Kindle May 2nd through the 6th. Mark your calendar and download your copy. If you already have a copy, but you want somebody else to have a copy, let them know to look for it on Amazon, and they can download it for free in the Kindle version.
Yeah, what happened today was we got big paychecks from Amazon, and I was like, people are reading our stuff and paying attention. So we thought, well, if people are looking for resources, then the ebook, we thought we could just do a promo on. That was Shelly's idea. So make her proud and show her that it was all worth all the craziness. So,
yeah. Okay, weekly quote. Fixer leaders are rarely accused of being afraid to make tough decisions as long as they are confident those decisions will be in the team's best interest. A Rachelism for the day. Fixers, not bossy, aggressively helpful.
I love that. That's great. So that one of those t-shirt ads, and I was like, aggressively helpful. That is like the ideal definition of a fixer.
It's true.
I don't care what you want. I'm going to help you.
Yeah. That's very true. Weekly writing prompt for those of you who have a journal or planner. What does your new normal look like? What are the positives? What are the things that are going great for you right now? There has to be at least 3. I bet. So you should write them down.
When you start writing them down, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's also awesome right now. Or that's also amazing. I'm super excited about that. One of the positives in this office is that the wind stopped blowing because these two hate the wind. So it makes my life better because then no one's complaining about it.
Yeah, the wind is really miserable. I've never met anyone in my life ever that enjoys the wind. And Rachel, I will say, she enjoys a blustery day, but even yesterday, even she came in and her lion's mane was all in her face. And even Shelly was like, you even look like you're not enchanted by this wind today. So yesterday was a little bit, it was a little ridiculous.
I heard, 65-mile-an-hour wind steady with gusts beyond that is what I heard yesterday. So it's ushering in an 80-degree day tomorrow. That's weird.
I thought so too,
That's
man.
making me a little like that's
April 80.
If you don't believe in climate change, it's going to be hard to ignore tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Put your blinders on, folks. Tomorrow it's going to be 80.
That's right. Pretend you're not noticing.
Yeah.
Our current events that we want to talk about today is there's a really interesting article, Volkswagen in Germany. The town's name is Volksburg.
I don't know if that's
German.
the town name or if that's actually just the name of the plant.
Wolfsburg. It's Wolfsburg is the name. No, that is the name of the city. And it's interesting because they actually suspended work. They worked through World War II. So like the fact they've been they have not worked at their plant for the longest in the history of their plant since like March 15th or something. So they're starting to let people back. They have 8,000 people in that plant and they've let 2,000 come back. I'm curious about how people are starting to let employees come back, what some of the rules that they're doing, or how to think about your company or maybe where you work, what you can maybe propose if you're worried. It's a really interesting article. They have implemented, is it more than 100?
Yeah, over 100 policies.
New policies to address
safety.
The COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you know, Germany has been, they're a testing and tracking sort of model for addressing the coronavirus outbreak. So for them, what they do is if you test positive, they actually go to every single one of the people you've interacted with, and then they ask you to quarantine, and then they keep an eye on how your health is. And so the community spread is actually very small in Germany, relatively speaking. So they feel like they have kind of a good, I think, response team too. So let's say the Volkswagen goes back to work and someone gets sick. Well, then they kind of have this process in place to identify everybody and protect people. And so that's a really interesting place to look at how they're phasing in what they're doing.
Yeah, and I think from a culture type perspective, the order tolerant people are probably like, hell yeah, look at all these rules, 100 plus new policies. Like, this is going to be awesome. I know exactly what to expect. And we, of course, always say hazard on the side of over communicating and having more of a plan than you think you need to. So good job, Volkswagen, for doing that. One thing that they should probably be paying attention to, it'll be interesting to see how the chaos tolerant people react to that. Because while we're all very aware of the coronavirus and what can happen if you get it, chaos tolerant people are like, oh my God, 100 plus new policies. Are you kidding me right now? So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out for the chaos tolerant people. Because this is like one of, I would say, of all the business headlines I've read like in my life, and especially since we've created culture types and stuff, this is one of the few that actually highlights somebody, an organization really playing to the hand of order tolerant people.
Yeah, well, it's in manufacturing, so it doesn't really surprise us too much. I'm going to put the link.
Manufacturing doesn't actually do what they're supposed to, though. They have order tolerant people.
That's what I mean. So they have order tolerant people, and they have 8,000 of them, and they've been doing it for 120 years. So it's kind of nice to know that they've have stabilizers in their upper ranks in the policy making side, or they just know their people enough that they're going to know they need the specifics. It'd be really fun to actually get a hold of somebody over there and find out.
Shelly's going to do that.
Shelly.
Call Germany.
Call Germany.
Call Germany. Talk to Volkswagen.
So yeah, that's a interesting article to read. It actually it outlines not only some of the policies that they're putting out, but also kind of how they're phasing into it. So if you're in a place within your organization where you're starting to think about some of the things, that's a good resource. I also talked to a potential client the other day. They're in the insurance industry, and they actually have been talking to their clients a lot about things that you just aren't really thinking about. Like, did anyone clean out the refrigerator before you all left the office? And if not, someone should probably do that before you get back, not just because gross, that old deal of broccoli should just be thrown away or burned, but also because there could be germs in there that need to be dealt away with before you get people back in the office. Cleaning the restrooms, wiping surfaces down, stuff like that. Whose responsibility is it going to be? How often does it need to be done a day? Who's going to do it before everybody starts coming back to work? How do you keep your workstation, whether it's your own or if you're in community workstations? So there's lots of good information starting to crop up in different places about how do you protect the health and safety of your people as you start to return to work. So look up those resources. They're starting to pop up.
I think one Alexa mission is on, and one of the things that I think we should talk about maybe next week is a lot of us are thinking, well, our kids are going to be out of school finally, even though they're at home. They still have school responsibilities. So our kids are going to be out of school soon. It's becoming summer. A lot of us are going to want to go travel. I think it'd be a fun topic maybe in the next week or two to talk about how to think about travel. Airbnbs, do you camp? Do you stay in hotels? What do you worry about? And that kind of thing might be an interesting, from a culture type perspective. How do you manage the risk or the uncertainty, perhaps?
Yeah, funny you should say from a culture type perspective, because my order tolerant brain went to, I would have to feel comfortable going to our local restaurant before I would consider traveling somewhere. So yes, that would be an interesting
And I'm
topic.
saying I want to get the hell out of town. And so how can I travel without endangering myself or people I meet? So I think that'll be an interesting thing to talk about.
Good one. You got that, John? Okay, good.
Just stare at Shelly at random intervals.
Shelly's great.
Right.
Oh,
Shelly, call them.
Everyone's encouraging you. So some of the Q&As, my state is reopening in phases. I feel my work is moving forward at an unsafe pace. Do I direct my concerns to my supervisor or HR? Well, I would, first of all, be very clear what your concerns are and what your personal tolerances are and why you have them. If you have a medical issue, that means that you are at high risk. If you contract the virus, it could mean that you have a much higher severity rate of the disease. Is it you just generally feel uncomfortable? Is it because you don't know enough about how you're going to go back to work? What do you need? Because a lot of times what we see is people are in this case, especially, you're uncomfortable and you're anxious about it. But in order for your organization to help, you have to know what you need or want out of the conversation. Or if it's, well, I don't want to go back to work for a year because I'm afraid of getting it anywhere, then that is a much different conversation than, hey, I feel like, I have a kid at home who has, one of these
is immunocompromised.
Yeah, underlying issues, and that really worries me, and so I need to keep him home, and I need to be home, and whatever. So, I think first of all, get really specific about what your concerns are and how to mitigate those if there is one, and then I will turn over to the HR person to tell you what to do next.
Shut up. Go back to work. No. So I would say you should direct your concerns to your supervisor if they don't seem to be taking you seriously, or if they're just like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe just come in and try it. And you're not comfortable with that response. Then I would say, well, could we talk to our HR so that I could get some other insight about what options there might be. I don't ever recommend that unless you've been actually discriminated against or sexually harassed or something. I don't ever recommend just going straight to HR, because then you create this weird dynamic between you and your supervisor, and that nobody needs to have to deal with that on top of the stress of what's going on. So I would talk to your supervisor first. If you're not comfortable with their answer, say, well, could we go talk to Meg, the HR person, and see what she has to offer up about it? Another thing I would say, not from an HR perspective, just from a human being perspective, we sort of have a habit of getting entrenched in our routine. Even chaos tolerant people, like you have the things that you're used to every day. And we've been doing all of this quarantining long enough now that we have become sort of used to our environment, where you're hyper aware that you need to be washing your hands, using hand sanitizer and whatever. But when it becomes routine, it's less anxiety causing. So then going back to work or going into the grocery store or sitting down with people in a room becomes the anxiety causing thing, just because it's the opposite of what you've been doing as part of your routine now. So it might be useful to start doing a few things a little bit at a time that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but are still safe. So if you haven't been, say, going for a walk or going to the park, maybe on your own personal time or whatever, go to the park. Or maybe if you haven't been going to the grocery store or hadn't gone to the bank in a while, or places where people are, but you still feel safe, you can start to kind of switch your mind over about what the routine is. And then you build a new routine about, okay, well, we still wash our hands or wear a mask or put our hand sanitizer on or all the things. And I can do that safely around these people. So that will be an important sort of intentional transition that you'll have to make.
I think too, I was speaking with somebody today at a manufacturing facility, and he was saying that OSHA actually requires kind of I don't know if it's a health test or how you say it, but basically breathing through an N95 mask is actually quite tiring. And the whole point of an N95 mask is to constrict airflow to keep the bugs out. Mm-hmm. So if you think you might either need to be required to, or might want to wear an N95 mask, you might try to practice wearing it outside of your work, to echo what Meg said about kind of getting used to yet another new environment where you might have to wear a mask all the time. Practice wearing it maybe a little bit at home or around the house so that you can get used to actually operating in that. So it doesn't, when you go back to work, it doesn't feel completely paralyzing because it's so alien. Mm-hmm. Okay. I like this question. My business is thriving. Do you have any tips for not feeling guilty about it?
Yes. There answered the question. My tip would be something that's worked really good for me, because our business, while compromised in ways that we were used to, has now started thriving in other ways. And one thing that's been very helpful for me in not feeling guilty about that is knowing how many people we are positively impacting and helping. So when we get on our business continuity blueprint call and there are 10 people on there anxiously waiting to be admitted into the webinar so that we can discuss how they move their business forward, I don't feel like, oh man, I should feel bad about this. I feel like, ooh, look at all these people we get to visit with and how exciting it is that we can help them with their challenges. So thinking about the good that you're doing in the world is what's helped me personally feel good about thriving right now.
Yeah, I love that. Even today, this conversation I referenced earlier, I get to talk to people about what the exciting part of change is and how to move forward. And so for me, this is what the signs are here.
Oh, you have the sign.
I have the sign.
Oh, sorry.
So the thing I love about it is that I get to help be excited about what the opportunities are. You want to take that one?
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you.
You totally are distracting me.
I did.
Totally distracting me.
Apologize.
So anyway, I get to be excited about the future and the possibility. And I get to talk to CEOs who are surrounded by people who are kind of melting down and they don't really have anybody they can feel like they can talk about being excited about how to come out of it, what creative things they can do, how to co-create solutions. because a lot of people are just super stressed out. So it's really fun to get to be that person for them to echo and reflect back opportunities and creative energy that's going on for some people right now. And then I'd say on the flip side, I don't know how much percentage of the US economy pays employees that are small business, but I guess I would bet a whole bunch of people. And so if you're a small business and you're thriving and you're helping put food on the table for other people, there's nothing to apologize for. So that's what I say about that.
So that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say.
Says
about
Forrest
that.
Gump.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
running.
All right, are we ready?
We're ready for some good news.
Woo-hoo!
Some
good news. Yay.
Yay, some good news. We love the good news. There
All
you go. All right. You want to start with your good news?
Oh, yeah. So I am the board chair of the, what am I? The
President?
Board? I don't
the
think that's what
executive
they
board?
call me. Anyway, I
Chairperson?
help with junior achievement in Western South Dakota. And of course, as you all well know, the way we traditionally as nonprofit organizations collect donations and charitable contributions has been upended because it's usually by some events and things, and then businesses have been impacted. So contributions from businesses, basically, we haven't been even reaching out just to be kind and respectful of what everyone's going through. But what we did do to encourage people to be active and also to encourage people to support junior achievement in the upcoming years within our school systems is create a virtual race. And it's $25 to enter, or you can if you don't want to do the race. It's not a race. It's called a virtual race. It's called Race for JA. Move. That's what it is. It's Move for JA. Yeah, I look at you like you'll know. Sorry.
Was there an email I was supposed to read?
No. Move for JA. So even if you don't want to move for JA, you can actually sponsor someone else and donate to their cause. So the cool thing about the way they're doing it in South Dakota is there's actually in the app that you have, there's a map that shows the route, which starts at somewhere in the Black Hills, Mount Rushmore, I think, and then it finishes at Black Elk Peak. So you see Crazy Horse along the way. It's a 32-mile route, and it's an honor system. You log your own miles or your own activity. So it could be gardening, it could be walking, could be running, could be playing sand volleyball outside, could be whatever it is. And so you can log your miles in there, and then there's prizes for fastest to complete the 32 miles, overachiever award for anyone who goes over that amount. And then there's a couple of raffle prizes, all from businesses locally. So we're trying to really support local businesses. So you'll see that Shelly, I'm sure, is going to put it all over our Facebook media, at LinkedIn and whatever. So if you'd like to join us for that, Move for JA, we would love to have you.
Awesome. Shelly found a couple really cool sort of COVID-related good news. One was that there's a woman making face masks and then hanging them in the tree outside of her house for her neighbors. This is one of the things I posted some. I didn't post a lot about making masks because that's not really a thing that I do a lot of, but I only did a small batch of them. But I had two people reach out and say, they're immunocompromised, they recently had surgery or chemo, and did I have masks for them? So people are looking. And so this woman actually hangs them on a tree outside of her house so that her neighbors or anybody that goes by can have one and help themselves, which I thought was a super great idea. And then the other one that I actually like that is not on the list is it's kind of a culture type good news, is that there's some doctors and nurses who have to, they literally now, I've seen some pictures of they mask, they hood, they face mask, face shield, and then they have gowns on. So you can't actually see who they are. So what they're doing is they're taking pictures of themselves and taping them to their gowns. So you can actually see the face of the person who's taking care of you. And I just thought that was really a sweet and very sort of aware of how humans are and how social we all are, especially since a lot of people that are sick are isolated away from their loved ones. So I just thought that was a really awesome idea. And it's a sad news thing, but I thought it was a great way to make people's life just a little better.
Yeah. In some other good news, there were some nurses who were helping with a child who had a deaf father. And because the kid or the kiddo had mask on, the father couldn't read lips and understand what the kid's concerns were. And so these nurses actually made masks that were clear so the dad could read the lips of the child and understand and communicate with his kiddo. So that was
so sweet. I love that story.
That's a pretty good one. That's a good one. In other good news around the neighborhood here, Peyton had an ingrown toenail that she was really struggling with, and she came rushing as soon as I got in the house yesterday evening. She's like, "Mom, I've got some really great news." I said, "Well, what is it?" "I got my ingrown toenail pulled out." So there's some other random good news.
Wow, that hurts my toe.
I know.
Just thinking about it.
But she was really excited.
Well, one of the things I do want to say is that I had kind of a rough weekend about the whole COVID situation because I have two nieces who are in grad school, and it was their prom night on Saturday night. And I was a little bit heavy-hearted about it. But I have to say that they both, as I was heavy-hearted as a parent or as a adult knowing that they were missing out on something. But frankly, the girls are kind of rolling with it. So they have prom online. One of them's boyfriend or friend who was her prom date came over, and they kept like 10 feet apart, and they took these funny pictures about how far apart they were. And they had a luau theme. So they reenacted it. So they had leis and silly hats and, Hawaiian punch drink or whatever. And so they really had a lot of fun with it, even though it wasn't the sort of normal prom day. So I just really want to give huge props to the seniors this year. And I usually don't get too sentimental about that. I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. But I do recognize that there's a lot of emotionally closing sort of activities that they're going to be missing out on. So all our best to you. And thanks for being such good sports about the whole thing, I guess. Yeah. All right. Anything else before we go?
I don't think so.
All right.
We read all of our show notes.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody. And stay healthy. And hopefully the weather where you are is as gorgeous as it is here. And it might be time for day drinking.
Game on.
Game on. All right.
Lead powerfully.
Change the world. Bye, everybody.
Bye.